Alright, it is a Tuesday, 9:28 a.m., November the 30th, I believe the last day of November, that's right. And I'm going to be focused on what I think I do best is morning panic bounce plays with a $30 risk. I have AABB, TGGI, ILUS. These are most ideal for a morning panic bounce play, but if there's something on the other watch list that looks clean, I might consider it. INND could be like a reversal setup, and I did remove the other ones like DPLS. That was kind of dead, as well as RGBP. If it tries to do some kind of reversal, I'll be interested in it, but something that's had like a little baby run up like this, maybe it won't even do anything nice in terms of a reversal, so that's why they're not really in the watch list anymore. They might not be that good, but these I think are the strongest ones, so I am going to focus on that. And if there are no morning panic bounce plays, that's fine. I will be looking at listed stocks as well. And if we have any setups there that I feel interested in, of course I'm going to try to trade those if it looks ideal with that $4 risk level on those. Let's see if we have any setups today. If we do or don't, if I make or I lose, that's totally fine. It's just about gaining experience at this point. Alright, it is 9:47 and look at all of the shares that were just dumped on this stock. Yeah, I think the pump is in. CYBL, the pump that tried to go to $6. It doesn't look like they're going to try to bring it back anytime soon. Maybe they will try to bring it back at some point, but I did try this one for a morning panic bounce play. And this time it was an actual morning panic bounce play, and that it was actually down like 7% on the day. And, it just wasn't able to turn around, and it looks like they're actually even trying to go for 24, which is really sad. Let's see if 24 is going to hold. Nope. It might come back immediately to the level if they're going to try, but I think too many people are selling their shares. I think the pump is in, and there's no coming back, at least anytime soon. Yeah, and then maybe after the pump is in, and it goes almost to zero, it'll turn around, some magical news comes out, and the thing goes to $6 like they wanted to. I'm just kidding. I'm just messing around. I'm a bit salty because obviously I didn't end up being profitable on this morning panic bounce play, but it had an actual morning panic this time. And the way this one trades, it looks a lot like AABB with the way the candles are, but unlike AABB, this one just keeps falling, and that is no bueno for a long setup. And it's not a short setup either because the thing is way at its lows. But out of curiosity, is it shortable on Schwab? Yes, it is. It's shortable on Schwab. That's pretty interesting. Maybe if this thing can actually manage to turn around and head towards the upside, maybe I can try a short setup, the short the bounce, if it even makes a bounce. Maybe not. I'm just being salty. But I was in at 940. That was right here, and that was at 251, which actually wasn't really a good execution. It just looked like it was going to really turn around, because if you don't look at all of this price action and just see it to this candle, it actually looks like it's going to do something. But what I didn't like immediately after I got in the setup is that VWAP got so close to where the entry is, and I've seen that a lot of times. And whenever that happens, like the chance that the morning panic bounce play isn't going, looks like they're trying to turn it around here. Let's see if they can do something. But whenever that happens, that VWAP just gets so close to the range that is trading, it almost always fails. So I did sell pretty much the next minute, 941, which was this candle right here. I did sell some at 25 for a slight loss because I'm in at 251 and I sell at 25, right? And then I had just 10,000 shares left. I was in now at a much smaller size, just because it's not as likely that it can turn around, but I still have half of my position, which is a $250 position. If it's going to break my risk level, which is 246, I'll get out, and that's exactly what I had to do because it broke under that level. And when it broke it, right here, just slightly, I got out at 247, maybe 2465 was the actual price, I'm not sure, but that was when I got out there. And that was a trade there. In terms of my risk and all of that, I was trading a $30 risk, so I was in at 251. right? That was in 20,000 shares, and that was at 940. At one point I had 25,000, but I brought it back to 20 because it wasn't, you know, looking too ideal. But then when it did look ideal, I was in it for sure. And in theory, it will break 246. Worst case scenario, I'm out at 24. So 251, 502. The 24. Yeah, that's like $21. That's pretty close to my, you know, $30 risk level. Obviously, maybe I could have been closer if I did do that 25,000 shares, because then that would be, you know, 600, and then I'm in at 251, so that would be $27, and that would be much closer. But you know, I didn't take that because I knew I was kind of getting in at an upper range in terms of where it was trading, because it was trading with a wide spread at some point, just trying to really take out the people at 25, and it wasn't able to do it. But at that brief moment when I was in, it looked like it was actually going to break 25. It didn't do it. I will be actually interested in shorting the bounce if it does a nice move, but I'll be pretty cautious with that, and it's not like I can trade a large size on that anyway, because it's a, you know, this is a 2-cent stock. But let's see if this thing can actually do something. I'm glad it's actually trying at least now to do a bounce. It can't be so pathetic that it just falls off a cliff and never even tries to bounce. Yeah, I'll keep this in mind. This could be a potential bounce to short into. I was looking at HMBL as well, but this one started trading all weird, as you can see back there, so I stopped looking at it. That one in theory could have been something, but no. Yeah, and these don't really have good daily charts, so a more ideal one will be AABB, TGGI, because it's still somewhat near its highs, right? It's not like CYBL, which is like right at its lows. Although sometimes when it can break a pretty important level like it did here at 26.6, you know, it could do something super nice, but that wasn't the case, at least when I got in it. So I'll be continuously watching CYBL. I probably won't trade this one for long setups, at least for bounces, because this thing just shows that it's going to continuously fail, from the fake one it had yesterday to this one today. But if it could do something pretty nice here, I might be interested in shorting that. That's all I have for the moment. Alright, it is 11:01 a.m. and I got out of my position with IFAN, the one I got in yesterday, and I did get out. I made 17 bucks. I didn't trade on my day trading account. This was like my IRA, and nice percent gain, 15%. This thing can, you know, totally make a move towards the upside, but maybe I'm being a little bit too much of a chicken. I just don't like how the overall market is taking a crap. Now, it tried not yesterday, the day before, you know, yesterday, like, you know, the last trading day, the other week, and it just took a dump. But then it looked like it was trying to turn around, and this just looks really sad, and I'm just worried that, you know, if there's something like this going on, and sure, this could be the very bottom. It could, you know, hold this support level at 456, maybe not even get the 456, and then, you know, it can try to turn around then and there. But I just feel like if the overall markets are actually heading towards the bottom, this might be kind of bad for OTCs, because, you know, they're just more speculative, they're more risky to some people. So they would be more interested in getting out. You know, they could try to, let's see if this thing turns around, but I just don't like the way this is looking. You know, a lot of times it does something like that, and then it kind of turns around immediately. This one kind of did something where it just had like an up day and then a down day. Maybe my sell at IFAN wasn't the smartest. I just want to play it a bit safe, but it's still at 13 by 13.9. At one point today, it was as high as 15, which was pretty cool to look at. And this thing can't continue the move, because some OTCs don't give a crap about the overall markets, and they just do whatever the heck they want. I never did short CYBL. That was just me being salty. I'm happy that it offered a morning panic balance play ultimately, even though it wasn't when I was in. And you know, that's totally fine. It even did like a higher low setup, but I didn't like the price action here, because there was a lot of people selling with size in the on the ask, and it did do this turnaround here, but the range wasn't that nice. It looks like it can be forming an inverse head and shoulders. Here's a shoulder, here's a head. If we maybe get a spike towards the highs, or maybe even VWAP, and then it does a shoulder and we're still at that 11 hour time frame, I might consider a long setup with something like that, and that could be a play there. So technically I am up today, but not really the way I wanted to, because IFAN could seriously make it could easily make a 10x move. Like, it could seriously not give a crap about the overall markets. And with my entry, which was at 11.3, right, 11.3, somewhere around here, 11.3, given the support line and all of that stuff, this thing can make a move that will take many days to play out. We'll see how this one goes. I'm probably going to add this trade to Profitly, as well as the other tiny swing trades I've done. And yeah, I'll make an update later. This was a nice move with CPIX. I saw this, but I never really looked at it. Maybe if I spent more time looking at it, I could have saw an uptrending inverse head and shoulders, shoulder, head, shoulder, also holding VWAP, which is pretty strong. That did actually make a move towards the upside, although it would have been pretty scary because it never offered a dip. It just continued the uptrend and just make that that line, that trend line, you can probably make here. So yeah, this one's pretty cool. I could have in theory traded here. There's obviously opportunity, and unfortunately it feels like I might be stuck in a grind if Schwab starts charging commissions starting December the 6th. And then I have to try also not just OTC setups with large size. If they look super ideal, that is worth trading because of those commissions. But I'm also going to have to start trying to put in more effort in listed stocks, and that could be a setback. But hey, at least there's no commissions coming for listed stocks anytime soon, which is absolutely great. And yeah, I'll keep watching. I'll make an update later, but I do have in mind maybe an inverse head and shoulders here with CYBL. You can say it kind of failed, like I was talking about yesterday, that it maybe shoulder, but this wasn't necessarily a head. It's not like it got lower than this level, so it's not really like it failed, and it's also not in the time frame. So this could be a shoulder, head, spikes towards VWAP, ideally makes a shoulder, the same 11 AM hour level, maybe a setups there. Otherwise, just slightly green today with that trade I had with IFAN, a nice percent gain, but that one can offer a lot more opportunity in the future. I just don't like the way the overall markets are right now. Alright, it is 3:01 p.m. and I think you can call this maybe a degenerate setup, but I don't think it actually was that bad of a setup, except for my sell. I probably just need to be more patient selling these things. It was just kind of nerve-wracking, but this was an inverse head and shoulders with just a SPY, shoulder, head, shoulder. I actually was here when this was happening, but I thought, okay, well, I like it and all, but I just don't like how this thing did not necessarily spike that high. Like, this is the shoulder, it made this nice move up here. So when it made the head, I wanted it to spike a bit higher, closer to this range right here. And when it didn't do that, I just thought maybe there isn't going to be that much range because of that. But it actually was nice, because at the 456.69-ish level, it held above the head of the inverse head and shoulders, right? And it made a move from 456 to 459, which isn't much range, obviously $3 on a $400 stock. But this is a stock that trades with a lot of volume. You can throw a lot of money. If I was a degenerate, I'd throw in like my whole freaking account if I wanted to, and trade something like that, just because it has that much liquidity. And it did eventually play out, right? It never broke below this level, the risk level. It made a move from the 456 to what is this, 459.18. The goal is VWAP. It just went right under it, which is fine. If you're not trading with VWAP, like, you're almost trading blind, as into like, okay, where could it stop? You could just play off of this level, which it did hold, and then I guess when it was looking a bit toppy here, you might consider selling, especially around here, because it looks like a shoulder head shoulder, if you ask me. So why I traded this thing was the inverse head and shoulder second higher low, you know, shoulder head shoulder, and here's the second higher low. And this thing can continue to make a run. It still has an hour before the market closes, and because it's a listed stock, this thing can well run into the after hours. Just a little rich for my blood, but anyway, I was in at 457, 12 and a half, so 457, 13, and that was at 257, right about here, right before it started to work, just right before. That's how I like to get in these setups, right before it starts to work, when it looks like it's about to potentially do something. I was in 2 shares, and in theory 2 shares at 457, 13. Right, worst case scenario, I get in the setup immediately, big freaking red candle, holy crap, what's going on? It breaks this level, right, and I get out at 455.30, which will be 455.30, so that's 9, 10, and 60, and then I'm in at, what was it again, 457.13, right? Just in theory, that $4 risk level with listed stocks. Maybe I was a little too exaggerative, you know, playing off of the head of the inverse head and shoulder second higher low. Maybe I should have played off the right shoulder. But you know, I was watching this downtrending. I wanted to see some kind of consolidation and green candles, and we were starting to get that here, so that's why I thought this could be the new level. Maybe in theory I should play off of this level, 456.40, the bottom of the, you know, shoulder here, because if it breaks below this, it's not a second higher low anymore. So I probably should have risked off of here instead of here. And then accounting for slippage, you know, maybe a sell into 455, or yeah, just 456. So 456, I'm in at 457, 13. So maybe instead of trading 2 shares, I could have traded, I guess I could have traded 4 shares. I actually could have traded an $1,800 position, just because I, you know, risk it here instead of here, which is more reasonable. It makes more sense. But what did I do? I sold 1 share at 457.44. That was at 258, right about here, when it had like this nice green candle that kind of worked. And then right here, just sold 1 share just to play it safe. I always like that. You know, I'm in this setup. If it immediately starts working, sure, it could go to 490 or whatever. I'm going to sell 1 share so that if it does fail ultimately, and it was just working a little before it fails, you know, and it breaks my risk level, at least, you know, I wasn't full sized. So I had 1 share there sold, and then I was just too chicken. In theory, I could still be holding this setup, and I wouldn't be risking this shoulder breaking anymore. I would be risking this, because this is, you know, this is like the higher low that it's making, you know, and I would also include the wick, right? Or I can also just still hold on to this level. But, you know, if it seems like it's developing, making a shoulder, or in this case, not a shoulder, a second higher low, you know, why not play off of that exact level anyway? So yeah, I would probably move my risk there. And I did sell my other share at 301, which was right here. I sold at 457.61, almost the very tippy top of this candle right here. And yeah, this thing can still work out. I'll make one more update when the markets are closed to see what this one does eventually. As for CYBL, I was interested in like an 11 a.m. reversal. In theory, shoulder, head, but then I didn't like. No, actually, this was a shoulder. I think shoulder, head. I didn't like how this thing didn't like get to the range it was here, or VWAP. It was kind of looking depressing. It did ultimately break the level. The setup was never there, but it did turn around. Sure, it did, but that was kind of random from what, 22 to 25. So there's definitely range. Definitely range. It's nice to see some actual decent range. And then it's sold off here. So yeah, that was it for that one. As for the other OTCs, it's just nothing really. Not necessarily the best volume at the moment. This one died out too. I was looking at something that maybe if it were to spike, goes under VWAP, spikes again, maybe a double top or a higher high if it's really nice, maybe even a lower high, Then it puts up a higher low under VWAP, higher than this range. That was a setup. I like this one so much, this listed stock right here, because it did this inverse head and shoulders playing off of VWAP. Shoulder, head, shoulder. Super nice run up. Even the second higher low setup, which didn't offer that much range, but at least it did something. 484 to 502. Not the best, but it did offer that. And then it started to fail. Another inverse head and shoulders. Shoulder, head, shoulder. A little scarier, sure. But I like how it's playing off of this range right here. And that was a nice move from 438 to 476. Second higher low, you can call it here, 467. This one didn't work out too much. I mean, it didn't work out the first time as much, so the second time is going to work most often than not, like less. And then it did try again there, but that wasn't necessarily that nice either. That was a bit choppy. If I can see more stocks like this, I'm going to get more confident trading listed stocks. And then if I'm being profitable, trading these listed stock patterns that I like seeing so much, then I'll raise up my, my dollar risk level. And I can keep going from there. That's pretty nice. Could have done better with CPIX, but I don't mind it because it's just something new. And I'm learning. At one point, I was actually feeling kind of down, like, is this it? I'm going to be trading OTCs. Now there's commissions. I stop. Like, what do I do? Listed stocks are still a thing, although they are a bit choppy. Some of them follow the patterns very nicely, especially right now in extreme moments of volatility. This one is failing. I'd be selling actually right here. So I'd be down, if I didn't sell that one share first, I might be break even or just down like 10 pennies. That's how safe I play these things, especially where I am right now. That's all I have. I'll make an update when the markets are closed. Alright, it is 10:49 p.m. and I am here to call it off. Overall, I think I'll be up maybe like $12.20 if my math was right. And that was a 3 trade. CYBL, this one absolutely failed, but it did work eventually. I just wasn't there when that happened. It was a bit of a later morning panic bounce play that did offer opportunity. I did trade with a mega large. In theory, if you ask me right now, $30 risk level, and I only lost just $6, a fifth of my dollar risk level, a small maybe like 1.2% loss. Trying to trade that morning panic bounce play that worked out eventually later. I was going for that 11 a.m. reversal. It didn't happen, although it did reverse. It just wasn't the way I would have been interested in buying it. Just not a pattern I'm familiar with. As for the other not listed OTCs, there's nothing really, but SPY, to just summarize what happened, this was the setup I was in, I believe. Right? Let me get rid of extended hours. No, it was right here. Yeah, at 14:53, so it was way back here. Yeah, it ultimately did not get much further. I was kind of right to sell when I was selling, and yeah, this one continued to downtrend, although it looks like it is kind of iffy the way it's trading. Yeah, I don't know if it actually closed that low, but yeah, clearly it didn't really offer that much momentum. It kind of worked because it didn't just fall off a cliff when I was in it here. Sure, hindsight 2020, this was more ideal. I just wanted this to have spiked higher, but I guess, it still worked out. The probability was still there for something like that. And what made me profitable today was just me selling my IFAN, which actually closed at, it looks like it closed at the same price, give or take, that I sold, which is nice because that means that, it held itself, although it was looking a bit iffy some parts throughout the day. It did do that. That's nice. This thing can totally continue to keep running for the next few days, maybe even weeks, months as well. I mean, it could totally make a run towards the upside. Was just kind of thrown off with the way the overall markets are. They're not looking that nice. You can say a chicken out, sure, but yeah, hopefully I can nail a morning panic bounce play in the future with a $30 risk level and be profitable and actually offer like a % gain that's decent, not some baby scalpy trade. That's really all I have, and yeah, I definitely have a long way to go. This one offered so many nice opportunities. I can see the path, and I just have to keep taking steps. I think a good day overall, a lot of great lessons. I'm thankful to God for it, and yeah, God willing, let's see if we have any setups tomorrow that I can trade.